Hi there, it's Mr Knox, Head of Learning for Year 7. Just a little bit of an update with our summer term, thinking about moving forwards to Year 8 and all the things that are happening in these next few. So I want to talk a little bit about where we are with this year, the Year 7, how it's gone so far, look at our timeline to the end of term, what's happening, when it is happening, and specifically to talk to you a bit about our end of year assessments, what we've been saying to students and how you as parents can support us. And obviously a few little things to talk about summer camps, some of the dates that are coming up for you, the online and the in-person meetings, and some of the things that we need to talk about before we start looking at those. So this year to date, I do know what, it's been a fantastic year. I really and thoroughly enjoyed looking after our Year 7s. What a fantastic group. We are the best in school for our behaviour, so we are topping the league tables for behaviour. That's both in terms of positive points and overall negative points. We've seen students really engage well in lessons, being fantastic in social times. Not to say there haven't been some problems. There are always some issues that we have to face, but for the most part, students have dealt very well with things. They've responded to warnings and lessons and got things right. They focused. We've seen some fantastic behaviour with homework, really good engagement with Sparks and across the board. I've put mostly good there. There are still some students, there's still a persistent group of about 30 or 40 students who need to up their game. Okay, 30 or 40 students who need to be making sure that they're logging on. Parents, please help us with this. The homework is so important for consolidating their knowledge, making sure they're ready for the next lesson. It's incredibly important for setting good learning habits that will stand them in good place for years 8 through to 11. So please, parents, I said this at the start of the year, don't just ask them if they've done it. Engage with them, ask them what they've learnt, maybe look for a bit of proof if they're failing to do their homework. I want every single student to be pushing their learning forwards by engaging with their homework. I've been speaking to students about our focus for this term, and the word that I've used time and time again is that idea of excellence. Excellence in your learning, so when you're in lessons, you're ready, respectful, safe, you're getting your books out, you're focusing on the tasks, you're listening, you're not disrupting. Excellence in homework, making sure it's completed. Excellence in the way that they treat other people around the school in social times with things like enrichment, signing up for summer camp, all that kind of thing. We've been really focused on excellence and wanting to take that through to Year 8. We've been opening up the field, so students have had much more space to play over lunchtimes, and they have been brilliant. Behaviour on the field has been exemplary. When the whistle is blown, it's time to go to lessons. The Year 7s are the ones that are first off the field, ready to learn. I love the attitude that they're bringing to the school. It's absolutely brilliant. And a huge amount of sign-up for enrichment. Students are taking part in a whole range of topics and subjects, both at lunchtime and after school. And again, parents, thank you so much for the way that you're encouraging them, the various things that have to be done to make sure they're picked up or get home at the right time. It really helps our students to expand as people. To grow, to mature when they're taking part in the enrichment. They're meeting other students, they're doing things that they wouldn't do in lesson time. It's been absolutely fantastic and really positive to see the number of students that have engaged in our enrichment activities. So, the timeline to the end of term. I've been saying to students, as has Mrs Slipper, revision starts now. It's just under 4 weeks, about 3.5 weeks now. Exams will start on the 8th of June, that week. I'll talk to you about those in a second or two. But it's really important that we are getting some good revision habits, little and often, making sure that the information, the concepts, the learning that they've done throughout the year since September is absolutely embedded. So these start on the 8th of June. Preparation for camp is also, well underway now. I'll talk about camp in a second or two. And we will be talking to you about Year 8, the transition to Year 8, about halfway through, just after halfway through the next half term. So keep an eye out for some information in the middle of June about the transition into Year 8. So camp, as we know, 6th to 10th of July. It's such a fantastic time. Well, I've got a bit more about that in a second or two. And then we finish on the 17th of July at 1:30 p.m. It's hard to believe that we are 2.5 terms through Year 7. It's gone very, very quickly. It's been very exciting. And we're now really thinking about that move up into Year 8, the responsibility that that's going to be. So, a little bit of a chat about end-of-year exams. It's going to be the week from the 8th to the 12th of June. Why are we doing these? Well, it's about consolidating that year of learning. So often we see things that we learnt in September and October, they vanish from students' brains. We want to be getting the information and the concepts and everything we've done learning-wise into long-term memory. And that's about revisiting it every so often. What we've done in year 7, there will be built upon in year 8. And we want to make sure that's all kind of embedded, that they are not losing some of the learning that they had, in the autumn term. It's about exam technique. I've got my year 11s that I teach science. They're currently doing their GCSEs, and so often when I'm doing feedback with them, half of it is about the knowledge, but a good part of it is about exam technique, understanding the question, pacing yourself in exams. And if we can start this preparation with our year 7s now, that will pay benefits in years to come. Also about the assessment style that we use when we get to Key Stage 4. I know that might seem a little way away, but once again, we're getting ourselves into that process, into that way of thinking about how do we tackle these exams so we can give our students the best chance of success. And it's also for us. Are there any knowledge gaps? Are there some areas that we can look at and we think, well, actually, they didn't do too well there as a class? We can go back and reteach that, look at any misconceptions. It really helps us to evaluate and to reflect upon our teaching and how students have done as a whole group, and to see if there are any gaps that we need to address en masse. So really important for us as well to see all those things. We spoke to students a week or so ago in assembly, and I'm repeating these messages in form time. The idea of what does revision actually mean? It's not just reading things through. It's an active process. There's a number of different things. I've got some suggestions on the screen here: flashcards, mind maps, past questions, teaching somebody, taking a subject that you think you know and explaining it to them. Ask your students when they're at home, what they're doing, and get them to explain to you a particular concept, maths, English or science, and space it. Make sure, some students, they'll look at something, test themselves 5 minutes later. Of course they'll get it right. It's in their short-term memory. We want this information, the things they've learnt, to be in their long-term memory. That involves looking at something and then a few days later testing yourself on that. So students have to be actively engaged in their revision. And please, your support with that in terms of making sure that they've got it timetabled out, making sure distractions away is really important. We're advising about 30 minutes a night. That might seem a lot, but actually, if we get this scheduled, we've asked students to think about timetabling, that's 10 minutes of English, maths and science a night. We can, move that around, so you could do one day on English, one day on maths, but that's the kind of thing that we are looking about in terms of getting students into routine. Not doing everything at once, little and often, rotate them around. Please make sure that students have distractions away. We've really got to work on this idea of phones, social media, all of those things being put away so they can focus purely on the subject they're looking at. Think about the timing. Don't be doing this at 9 o'clock. The focus, the energy will not be there. And rewards, ticking things off, giving yourself little breaks, little rewards, something that gives them that kind of dopamine hit that will really stimulate them and kind of say, give them a success when they come through to do the exams and they understand and they can see what they've actually learnt. Summer camp, it's coming up very fast. So as you know, this is the penultimate week of our summer. So we have activities week, our summer camp, then one more week in school, and then we are done. There is still time to sign up. We would love as many of our students to be there. It is a phenomenal experience. I had some of the year 8s speaking in the online assembly a few days ago, telling them of the experiences that they had, talking about some of the worries that they had before they went to camp and how they were overcome. So please, if you've not signed up, it is not too late. You will need to play the full balance, but it is a phenomenal experience for students. We would love everyone to come. If there are any barriers, anything that you're worried about, or that your students are worried about, be it food, sleeping arrangements, medical issues, do get in touch with us. Either your form tutor, myself, Mr Darling, who's the kind of trip arranger. There are plenty of things that we can put in place to mitigate any problems, and we'd love to hear from you in ways and help you with ways that we can do that. Don't forget there's an online information evening coming up on the 20th of May, and then in June, the 15th of June, there's an in-person meeting. That's when we'll talk about tent arrangements and what activity groups students will be in, and a chance for you to feed back to us with any particular questions. They're really, really useful evenings to understand what happens in camp, how we deal with any problems, how we get in contact with you, and to deal with any particular issues that you have. So that's all I had to say for the moment. I look forward to seeing a lot of you at the information evenings for camp. Please do get in contact if you've got any particular questions, and please do support your students with all their revision leading up to these end of year exams. Many thanks for all the work that you've done so far. It's been a brilliant year. Let's finish strong. Let's finish excellent with our year 7s. Take care. Bye-bye.